Michael Jensen walked with practiced confidence along Maple Street, his white cane sweeping in gentle arcs before him. At his side padded Rex, his 4-year-old German Shepherd guide dog, moving with the disciplined alertness that came from years of specialized training. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of autumn leaves and fresh coffee from the corner cafe where Michael stopped each day before heading to his job as a customer service specialist at the downtown call center. Rex wore his official guide dog harness, the unmistakable sign that he was a working service animal. What wasn't obvious from his appearance was Rex's background. Before becoming Michael's guide, Rex had served 2 years as a police K-9 officer, trained in suspect apprehension and evidence detection. After a department restructuring, Rex had been reassigned and retrained through a specialized program that placed former police dogs with civilians who needed service animals. "Good boy, Rex," Michael murmured as they waited at the crosswalk. He could hear the rumble of morning traffic, feel the vibration of passing cars against his cane. The crossing signal chirped, and Rex guided him forward with practiced precision. Half a block ahead, Darren Kovacs revved his motorcycle at a red light. He was running late for work again, and his boss had already warned him about tardiness. The custom Kawasaki beneath him vibrated with barely contained power. Darren had spent 3 years' worth of savings customizing it, and the bike was his pride and joy, an extension of his identity. When the light turned green, Darren accelerated hard, weaving between cars with practiced skill. He spotted the blind man and his dog at the crosswalk and felt a momentary flicker of annoyance at having to slow down. As he passed, an impulsive, reckless thought flashed through his mind. Without fully considering the consequences, Darren extended his boot and gave the German Shepherd a swift kick to the hindquarters as he rode by. It wasn't hard enough to cause serious injury, just enough to startle the animal. In Darren's mind, it was a harmless prank, something to laugh about later with his friends. "What the hell?" Michael shouted, feeling Rex's harness jerk suddenly. "Rex, steady!" But Rex wasn't a typical guide dog. Years of police training kicked in instantly. The German Shepherd pivoted sharply, his posture transforming from calm service animal to law enforcement K-9 in seconds. With lightning reflexes honed through countless training exercises, Rex lunged after the motorcycle, dragging Michael several stumbling steps before the blind man lost his grip on the harness. Rex's powerful legs propelled him into a sprint. His training had taught him to pursue fleeing suspects, and that's exactly what his instincts told him Darren was. The motorcycle was only about 15 yards ahead, slowing for another red light when Rex closed the distance. Darren glanced in his mirror just in time to see a blur of tan and black fur launching toward him. Darren Kovacs felt the jolt before he saw what caused it. One moment he was checking his side mirror, the next his motorcycle wobbled dangerously as something heavy slammed into his right leg. The German Shepherd's jaws clamped around his ankle with precision, teeth designed to penetrate through protective clothing. "Jesus Christ!" Darren screamed, nearly losing control of his bike. He swerved wildly, nearly clipping a parked car. The dog's weight dragged at his leg, pulling him off balance. With no choice but to stop, Darren braked hard. The sudden deceleration sent both him and the dog tumbling onto the pavement. The motorcycle skidded several yards ahead before crashing into a fire hydrant with a sickening crunch of metal and fiberglass. Passers-by stopped in shock, phones already out to record the bizarre scene unfolding on their morning commute. Rex maintained his grip on Darren's leg, not biting down with full force. His training had taught him to hold, not maim, but refusing to release. The dog's eyes were locked on Darren's, unflinching and determined. "Get it off me!" Darren yelled, trying to shake free without success. "Somebody help!" Officer Sarah Martinez had just pulled her patrol car into a nearby coffee shop parking lot when she heard the commotion. 13 years on the force had honed her instincts, and she was out of her vehicle and approaching the scene within seconds. "Police! Everyone stay back!" she commanded, quickly assessing the situation. Her hand instinctively moved to her service weapon, but she paused when she recognized the controlled aggression in the German Shepherd's posture. This wasn't a random dog attack. "That's a police-trained dog," she said, noticing the harness. "Where's the handler?" "I'm here," came a voice from half a block away. Michael Jensen was moving as quickly as he dared without his guide dog, his white cane extended fully as he navigated the sidewalk. A good Samaritan had described what happened and was guiding him toward the commotion. "Rex is my dog. I'm blind, and someone kicked him as they rode past." Officer Martinez connected the pieces immediately. "Sir, can you call your dog off?" Michael nodded, still catching his breath. "Rex, release. Come here, boy." The command cut through Rex's focused state. Instantly, the German Shepherd released Darren's ankle and trotted back to Michael's side, resuming his guide dog posture as if nothing had happened. Darren scrambled to his feet, wincing at the pain in his ankle. "That dog attacked me. I want it put down." "Witnesses say you kicked the dog first," Officer Martinez replied coldly. "Is that true?" The small crowd that had gathered murmured in agreement. A woman stepped forward, holding up her phone. "I got it all on video. He deliberately kicked the service dog as he passed by." Darren's face flushed. His eyes darted to his damaged motorcycle, then to the gathering crowd, all regarding him with obvious contempt. The adrenaline that had fueled his reckless behavior was fading, replaced by the cold realization of what he'd done and the consequences he now faced. "I didn't, it was just..." he stammered, unable to formulate a defense for his actions. Officer Martinez pulled out her notepad. "Sir, I'm going to need to see your license and registration. You're potentially facing charges for animal cruelty, reckless driving, and interfering with a service animal, which is a serious offense in this state." 2 weeks later, Michael Jensen sat in the district courthouse, Rex lying calmly at his feet. The German Shepherd's behavior had returned to that of a perfect guide dog, showing no lingering effects from the incident. Michael, however, still felt a knot in his stomach whenever he thought about those chaotic moments. The sudden jerk of Rex's harness being pulled from his hand, the disorientation of being left alone on the street, the fear that his companion might be injured or worse. "All rise," the bailiff announced as Judge Eleanor Watkins entered the courtroom. Today was Darren Kovac's sentencing hearing. He had pled guilty to animal cruelty and interfering with a service animal, charges that could have resulted in jail time. Michael had requested to speak before the sentence was announced, something his victim advocate had arranged. When his turn came, Michael stood with Rex's harness in hand. "Your Honor, I'd like to address the court and Mr. Kovacs directly," Michael began. What happened that day was more than just a momentary lapse in judgment. For someone who relies on a guide dog, that animal isn't just a pet. Rex is my independence, my safety, my connection to the world. He paused, gathering his thoughts. "But I didn't come here today to demand harsh punishment. I came to propose something different." Across the courtroom, Darren shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The past 2 weeks had been a nightmare. His damaged motorcycle had cost thousands to repair, money he didn't have. His face had been plastered across social media as the jerk who kicked a blind man's dog, resulting in his suspension from work pending the outcome of this case. And the worst part was he couldn't even argue. He had done exactly what everyone was condemning him for. "I've spoken with the director of the Vision Center where I received training with Rex," Michael continued. "They have a community service program where volunteers help with facility maintenance, assist with training exercises, and learn about the challenges faced by people with visual impairments. I'm suggesting that rather than jail time or excessive fines, Mr. Kovacs serve 200 hours there." Judge Watkins raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the proposal. Mr. Kovacs approached the bench. Darren stood shakily, his ankle still tender where Rex's teeth had left bruises but not broken the skin. "Mr. Kovacs, do you understand what's being offered here?" the judge asked. "Yes, Your Honor," Darren replied quietly. "And I accept. What I did was inexcusable. I'd like the chance to make it right." 6 months later, Michael and Rex entered the Vision Center for their monthly check-in. They were greeted by a familiar voice. "Good morning, Michael Rex," Darren said, kneeling to give Rex a gentle pat, something the dog now allowed from him. "Beautiful day out there." After completing his community service, Darren had applied for a part-time position at the center, helping maintain the facility and occasionally assisting with the puppy training program. His motorcycle remained in storage. He'd come to prefer public transportation or walking. It gave him time to think. "How's the new training class coming along?" Michael asked as they walked toward the main building. "Really well. There's this Labrador, Stella, who reminds me a lot of Rex, smart as a whip," Darren replied. "The trainer said I have good instincts with the dogs." As they parted ways in the lobby, Michael reflected on how a moment of cruelty had transformed into something unexpectedly positive. Rex had returned to being his calm, reliable guide. And Darren had found a purpose that extended beyond himself. Sometimes, Michael thought, justice worked best when it built bridges rather than walls.